do have seating downstairs. If you are able to get down the stairs and you would like to sit downstairs, you will see the program. You might not get to the cookies quite as quickly, but feel free if you would be more comfortable downstairs. But wow, what a turnout for our veterans. My name is Vicki Prophet. I am the president of the Perinton Historical Society, and on behalf of their board of directors, I'd like to welcome you to this special event. We have several distinguished guests with us today, including one who is a local legend coming in right now.
Oh my God!
So I would like to welcome to our group today, while we're getting everyone situated, we have Congressman Joe Morelle here with us, Perinton Town Supervisor Ciaran, Perinton Town Historian Bill Poray, our singer Andrea Burke is here, we have oral historian Cindy Ricketts, and we have our honor flight Rochester dolls with us. There they are at the back. Can I see a show of hands if you are a veteran? Please raise your hand. Wonderful. We had more than 6 million women who worked on the home front during World War II. They worked in factories, they worked in shipyards, they inspected parachute pins and assembled aviation glasses. And today we are celebrating the Rosie and the Riveters. And we happen to have one of these hometown heroes right here, Mary Masciangelo. And we are so pleased to highlight Mary's work that she did during World War II. We had another Rosie the Riveter, who is no longer with us, Jane Dupre, who was the wife, you might have remembered, Harmonica. And there is a wonderful write-up about Jane at the back there, so please take a look. We're going to go through our program today. We've got a lot going on. But as we go through, if you're able and you would like to get cookies and water, help yourselves. And let's get started with our very first event after I thank Jean Kelly, wherever she is, for organizing. Jean works tirelessly for our veterans, and she is the one who organized all of this, and we are very thankful for that and very happy to host at the Fairport Historical Museum. We would also like to thank our Perinton Historical Society volunteers who helped set all this up. It was quite an effort, so thank you to Nancy, Lucy, Bill, Dave, and everyone else who has come from the Historical Society to help us. We are so fortunate to have this really vibrant Perinton Historical Society right in the middle of our village. So thank you to them. So I would ask if you are able to rise. We have Andrea Burke who will sing the national anthem for us.
Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through perilous fight o'er the red
At this time, I'd like to bring up Perinton Town Historian Bill Poray.
Despite the fact that I know the agenda frontwards and backwards, I was surprised to be called. Glad you're all here. What a wonderful crowd. And so great to honor Rosie the Riveters. Sometimes the women don't always get the recognition that they deserve in life. So this is a great place to be doing this. I want to give you a little perspective with regard to Fairport and Perinton first. With regard to World War II and this community. The population of Perinton in 1940 was a little bit over 10,000. A staggering 949 names were included in our Fairport and Perinton roster of those who served in World War II, whose families were from this community. 949. On High Street alone, on the north side, a half-mile long street, at least 35 soldiers served in the military from High Street. Imagine that density at that time. It gives you a sense for the overwhelming participation from our community. There's no doubt that on the home front, an equally large number of women, men, and even children participated here at the home front in so many ways, did their part for their community and their country. When those who went off to war left us, their jobs here at home, it was often the women who took their place. It is virtually difficult or impossible locally to identify how many women did this, but it was a massive number. I also don't believe that at the time it was considered a necessarily heroic act. Of course, perspective allows us to think about this a little bit differently. And in this case, to recognize that the women who worked in factories building products to support our country's war efforts, to preserve democracy, and to really preserve peace, were war heroes. They were heroes. The women who filled roles in food production, on farms, and in canneries, they too were heroes. Often working 50-hour weeks or more, they learned new skills. They often had families and homes to take care of, and they did it all. We are here to remember their sacrifice, their dedication, and the pivotal role they played, eventually in victory in World War II, and in doing so, preserving democracies here and around the world. Here in Fairport and Perinton, several companies did their part by turning over production to the war effort. They included American Can Company. How many people had relatives that worked at American Can Company? Parks Avenue on the north side, with a large workforce, their primary product, the tin can, was adapted to many uses in support of our soldiers, including specialized cans used as medicine kits, containers for blood plasma, and of course, for food rations for untold numbers of thousands in the military. Gundlach Corporation, if anyone remembers, was right across the street where the parking lot is, in an old barn. Gundlach Corporation, they were producers of photographic equipment and lenses, and in World War II used for military purposes. There are displays set up here and there on flat surfaces for these businesses with real documentation of what they did and what the people that worked in those factories did to support the effort. Even Fairport High School, which at the time was this building right out here at the window on West Avenue, had a role in teaching students, male and female, using the shop class and equipment, the skills necessary to operate lathes, presses, and other machines, where they machined and manufactured components related to torpedo manufacturing for the war effort. Our kids in high school. One of those high school students was Betsy Patterson. of Roselawn Avenue, who with others manufactured these components. The essential work on farms and in canneries, such as Comstock in Egypt, with food in short supply, supplemented greatly by our own victory gardens here in Fairport and the town of Perinton. Women filled out the employment roles in all aspects of farming and the canning of foods. Finally, although there are others, I can't forget the fireworks factory on Whitney Road. Turned over to war production for the manufacture of military signal flares used in emergency situations, typically by the U.S. Navy, to identify the location of sailors clinging to lifeboats. The signal flare manufactured here in Perinton provided the lifeline for their rescue. It was in that factory on November 6, 1942, when a small explosion led to a devastating fire, ultimately ending the lives of 12 wartime employees, building these products to the benefit of American soldiers. The lives of 11 women and 1 man were lost. Residents of East Rochester, Fairport, and Perinton. So we remember all of these selfless people as heroes. And let's not forget their names. Angeline Morbido, 33 years of age. Fred Steele, 26. Evelyn Bigelow, 26. Angeline Mandel, 31. Viola Close, 60 years old. Mary Parsons, 48. Bertha Archambault, 53. Evelyn Ellis, 48. Rose Costanzo, 42. Frida Cox, 37. Yolanda Covino, 29. And Minnie Broach, 56. We don't need any better example than that of the sacrifices made on the home front. During World War II, untold numbers of women traveled from our community by train, bus, or automobile each day to fill essential jobs in Rochester factories, building products to support the war effort, including Eastman Kodak, Bausch & Lomb, Gleason Works, General Motors, and many, many other manufacturers. One of these women, Mary Phillips Groff of DeLand Park A, who passed away some years ago, was featured in a 1992 Democrat and Chronicle article about her contributions. And that article can be found in clippings that is on one of our tabletops. She worked at Bausch & Lomb after first being trained how to operate a lathe and milling machines at the old, what was the RIT, prior to it being RIT, a long time ago. Her service started while still attending high school. We are fortunate to have another Rosie the Riveter with us today, obviously, Mary Masciangelo. Mary invited me for lunch a few weeks ago, which she cooked up a storm for. Yes, there were a few other people there. She sent me home with homemade pizza, calzones, Italian wedding soup, pies, and the best part about it was being with Mary. She was the daughter of Nick and Elizabeth DiVirgilio, born very close to 100 years ago. In fact, her birthday is just around the corner. Mary grew up in modest surroundings in a simple home on Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road, daughter of immigrants. Her father came to this country just 4 years before she was born, her mom just a little bit earlier. Mary attended the District 4 school in Brighton and then went to Monroe High School. Her role as a Rosie the Riveter began while still in high school with her employment at Ciaran Optical on Andrews Street in Rochester. There are several clippings related to Mary's specific Rosie the Riveter activity right here on the tabletop. Her work included components related to the manufacture of parachutes and eyeglasses, and each day she climbed 6 flights of stairs, like her co-workers, to get to the top of that building to do her job. Mary saved her money, still living with her parents, and used it to invest in her family's modest home, adding some fundamental components, including electricity, water, the family's first refrigerator, the family's first washing machine, and some linoleum floors to make it nicer for her family. She eventually came to Fairport and went on to become part of the Masciangelo family, where she and World War II veteran Henry Masciangelo were married in 1950. They raised a family and with their construction company helped to shape a community, one quality built house at a time. And quietly, for many, became role models for how to live one's life. Thank you, Mary, for your service to this country. I know that you are leaving shortly for New Orleans to the World War II Museum. I had the privilege of going with you once before, where this weekend there will be nationwide recognition for Rosie the Riveters.
Wow.
On Rosie the Riveters Day. Thousands and thousands of women who did their part and more to serve their country. We are eternally grateful. We will never know just how many women from Fairport and Perinton served as Rosie the Riveters, but as for those who wore a military uniform as well, the number is staggering, and we are grateful to all of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill. We would like to call Perinton Town Supervisor Ciaran Hanna.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And it is an honor to be here to recognize the incredible contributions of our Rosie the Riveters through history. First of all, I want to give a special thanks to Vicki and the Fairport Historical Museum, as well as the Historical Society. They really do such a wonderful job, not only preserving our history, but they do a great job in getting that history out to our community, and they make it available so easily, and they do a wonderful job. Thank you very much for that. And I can't even mention history without mentioning Bill Poray. Same thing here. This man, if it were a master class in preserving history and getting it out to the community, Bill could teach it. He has done a terrific job in the town. He's always available. I'm always astounded at when he calls me to the office for a minute, and it's usually more than a minute, but it's always fascinating what he has been able to do. Thank you very much, Bill. It's great to see all of you here. I want a special thanks to Congressman Morelle. I know he's got a very, very busy schedule, but he's always been a champion for this area, and I want to thank you for being here today. And thanks to Cindy Ricketts. Thank you for showing as well. I will be very brief. It's very appropriate that this event takes place during Women's History Month, because this is Rosie the Riveter probably were one of the most important contributions to our country through our women. Locally, thousands of women worked as Rosie the Riveters. Bill, I can't really add a whole lot more than what Bill has expressed today, but I just want to say that their story, they remind us that history isn't only shaped by major, large events, It's the quiet strength and the everyday heroism of ordinary people. These women, they didn't seek recognition. They simply answered the call and they did the job that was asked to do. And it was a job, as Bill mentioned, that was vital in the victory. So I want to thank all of our local Rosies, the Riveters. Today we're fortunate to hear, we'll be fortunate to hear some of these outstanding stories. And we're very fortunate to have one of our own here. I want to tell a quick story. As Bill mentioned, we have a big birthday coming up for Mary. A couple weeks ago, we had a little event here at Kaylee on the Canal, and Mary she joined the festivities at the Kaylee on the Canal, and I will tell you, she was the last one to leave. It was wonderful to see her as when the lights came on and we were cleaning all up, and there she was, still sitting at the table. It was a joy to go over and talk to her for a little while, and I'm amazed at her energy, and that's, I'm sure, the energy that she brought all through her time as a Rosie. So thank you very much. I do have a little presentation. Should I do that now, or shall I do that later?
I think now.
Right now? Okay, so the town of Perinton does have a proclamation that I will read very quickly here. On this special occasion of celebrating Mary Masciangelo's 100th birthday, the town of Perinton honors a life marked by resilience, hard work, and love. Born in 1925 to Nick and Elizabeth Di Virgilio, both immigrants from Abruzzo, Italy, Mary grew up with humble beginnings. Her father worked for the railroad, and her mother supported the family. Mary had one brother and one sister, and they lived on Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road, where they grew up without indoor plumbing and electricity. These early challenges shaped her resourcefulness and determination. Mary attended Brighton District 4 School, where she overcame challenges and excelled. She later attended Monroe High School. While still in high school, Mary worked as a Rosie the Riveter at Ciaran Optical in Rochester, contributing to the war effort by working on parachute components. She saved her earnings, improving her family's home, as Bill said, by adding modern amenities such as water, electricity, and a refrigerator. In 1950, Mary married Henry Masciangelo, and together they raised a family, building and living in several homes, including the one on Pebble Hill Road, where Mary resides today. Mary's enduring strength, deep love for her family, and lifelong dedication to her community are an inspiration to all who know her. She and Henry's shared love of family and community has left an indelible mark on all who have crossed their paths. Mary's life is a testament to resilience, dedication, and love for her family. From her early days working in factories to building a home and raising a family with Henry, Mary's unwavering commitment to her loved ones and the Perinton community has left an indelible mark. Her spirit, generosity, and kindness have inspired all who know her. As a Rosie the Riveter during World War II, Mary's devotion to her country further highlights the strength, character, and enduring influence she continues to share with others today. So on behalf of the town of Perinton, we extend our heartfelt congratulations to Mary on reaching this incredible milestone. Our community is truly fortunate to have had Mary as a longtime resident and a pillar of strength. May this day serve as a reminder of the lasting impact of her life, and may she continue to inspire future generations with her remarkable journey. So I wanted to hereby declare today, March 18th, 2025, as Mary Masciangelo Day. For everything you do. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Supervisor Hanna. We would also like to bring up Congressman Joe Morelle, who also has a special recognition for Mary.
After the supervisor speaks, I have to reduce the microphone size. It's funny how that happens. Good afternoon. What a privilege it is to be here and to be with all of you. I have to say, Vicki, first of all, thank you for all you do. I think I've been, every time I'm in this room, and I've been here a number of times, it's always standing room only. I mark that up to the good people here. I was here when we were just about to send folks off to Normandy in recognition of the end of the war. And so it's always great. Thank you for the great job that you do and the museum does here. Thank you, Bill, for that description of all that is contributed from this community to the war effort. I really appreciated that. I'm looking forward to hearing from Cindy about additional history, oral history. And I really want to thank my partner in government, Supervisor Hanna, who is a longtime friend, a real joy to work with, and does such a great job in this community. I'm grateful for his partnership and his friendship, so thank you, Mr. Supervisor. And Andrea, who did an amazing job singing, thank you for that. I don't know if it's part of my job, I just get goosebumps every time I hear the national anthem. Sung or played, I don't care how many, and I hear it a lot, but it's still remarkable, so thank you for that. And thank you for Honor Flag to all the Patriot Guard riders for being here and for carrying the torch. Thank you to Jean Kelly for all the great work she does in organizing events everywhere. Jean, thank you for that. I'm really excited to be here. Actually, I'm excited anytime I'm not in Washington, but I'm excited to be here with Mary, Mary, you know, we've known each other, and she's at so many events and has endless energy. I'm looking forward to, pretty soon we'll have Memorial Day, the parades will start, we'll be at East Rochester together, right? Marching. But it almost looks, it's the only time I've ever seen Mary with a pained look on her face. And I don't think she likes all the attention she's getting, but it is so incredibly well-deserved. And to recognize her as one of the Riveters, which, as we've heard, served as a backbone for our efforts here in the United States during World War II. And Mary's legacy and the legacy of that generation defined how that generation functioned during World War II. And it's rooted in, if you think of the spirit of resilience, of strength, and dedication to cause. You know, World War II, as we all know, I think was so pivotal as a moment for the nation and the world. Something that we're actually still grappling with. People often talk about the New World Order that came about as a result of World War II. It's because of the strength of our military and also the strength and resilience of people home who did the work and came from all walks of life. I mean, we weren't really prepared to go into a world war. And so from an industrial production point of view, there was so much work to do. Bill talked about that. And yet during one of the darkest challenges in our nation's history, people and women like Mary rose to the challenge and helped us in transformative ways. And they answered the call to serve on the home front and provide that fight for our freedom. And, you know, I say this, I had the privilege of being at a Vietnam vets pinning ceremony this morning to honor that generation of Americans who served. But if it were not for men and women who were willing to step up, whether overseas or here on the home front, we would not have the freedoms that are so important to us as Americans that we have enjoyed now for nearly 250 years. And the Riveters stepped up at a time when all of that was hanging in the balance, when it was not at all clear that we would persevere, that we would win the day. And those people, women in particular, took on these new roles and really laid the groundwork for unprecedented wave of social change, making the United States an industrial power, challenging gender norms and what was perceived that women could and could not do. And literally led the way for future generations of women. So, and the image became iconic. The picture on the T-shirt that Mary has is an iconic symbol. I will say this: my wife Mary Beth, while my kids were growing up in the house, always insisted there had to be a Rosie the Riveter poster in the house for the kids to see, and she would talk about it all the time. So that is a special place on mugs in my house. You'd think Rosie was one of a family member, the amount of time that we spent talking about it, and the kids know how much important it was to not only to my wife, but to let them know that people can do anything that they aspire to be here in America. Just have to work hard, as Mary did. And it's interesting, Mary worked on, as we talk about parachutes and optical, right, eyeglasses. Rochester is still, because of that work and the legacy, still one of the leading optical centers in the world. Our optics companies are second to none. As we usher in, and people don't think about this, every computer chip, everything you have has optics in it. Rochester's a leader because of people like Mary, who stepped up during the war to make us what we are today. So, Mary, your legacy extends way beyond the war. It extends to this generation where hope and determination and an unwavering belief in the power of unity is something we could certainly use right now in the world. So, and I also was excited to be here to celebrate your 100th birthday. I mean, that's pretty extraordinary. I don't know what Mary drinks. But I'm going to start ordering it at a large supply. Amazing. And she is amazing. So I wanted to do two things if I could. This is called taking really advantage of a personal prerogative. The first is, in 2020, my colleagues and I was privileged to co-sponsor legislation that created a Congressional Gold Medal awarded to Rosie the Riveters. And this is the medal which we're going to present to Mary today. It was created by the U.S. Mint specifically to symbolize the work and the spirit of Rosie the Riveters. And on the front of it, just so I can describe it, Mary will probably share with people, is the central figure on the front is Rosie. As I said, reflects the strength and resilience and pride that all the Rosies demonstrated. On the back features a group of women working in different wartime roles. So the iconic tools and symbols, the American flag, wartime imagery represents the range of skilled labor that Rosies performed, and how they connected these women directly to the defense of our nation and our victory in World War II. So that describes the medal. And because I want to also acknowledge your 100th birthday, I'll be here for the second 100th too, by the way. But I wanted to present this certificate of special congressional recognition to Mary personally on her 100th birthday. And it describes how the House, it's a long-standing tradition that we recognize people who do extraordinary work in our communities and recognize them for those extraordinary contributions to the people of this district, of this community, and to a very grateful nation. So, God bless you. Love you. You know what this picture? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Morelle. Mary, you are such a treasure. We are so happy to have you here. Our last speaker of the day has done remarkable work with veterans. After working 34 years for Pittsburgh schools, she began volunteering with the Veterans History Project and has spent countless hours interviewing our veterans, more than 400 interviews about their military experiences. Those are then registered in the Library of Congress. Please welcome oral historian Cindy Ricketts.
First of all, I want to say that I am so proud to be part of this celebration. The Rosies carried the whole country on their back, how the men went off to war. They had no idea how to rivet, how to weld, how to do any of those things, and they had to learn. And they did it. And they did it with gusto. I mean, they had pride in their work, and they knew that what they were doing was going to save lives. They knew what they were doing was important, and they did it. They had kids at home to raise. They left the kids with babysitters. They left the kids with daycare people that were men and factories. But they did it. They went out and they didn't hold back. They did it. The Rosies collected, I don't know. The Rosie the Riveters worked in factories. They built ships, they built airplanes, they built tanks, they built everything imaginable that the war ever needed. They made ammunition, they did all that. But there's another group of Rosies that you don't hear about so much as the Rosies that were the volunteer collectors. And these Rosies are the people that collected newspaper, collected metal, scraps, they collected silk material so that they can make parachutes. They collected everything under the sun. They made victory gardens. They did USO shows where they cooked and baked thousands of cookies for GIs all over the world. They made a place for people, military people, to go to and relax and feel at home when they were away from home. These women were heroes. They were not celebrated at the time, but they are celebrated now. And it's very important that we understand that they are older now and are passing away, but the history has to continue. The country has to know what they have done. So we just keep on telling people, okay? Excuse me, as Vicki said, I am an oral historian. I do veterans' histories for the Library of Congress. And what that means is I sit down with a veteran and he tells me about his time in the military and I record it on camcorder. My husband, who knows more about technology than me, he makes the DVDs for me. And then we take them to the VA down in Canandaigua. They make the copies of them. One goes to the veteran, one goes to the Library of Congress. And if the veteran chooses, one goes to the Military Museum down in Rochester. It doesn't cost the veteran anything, but the stories are worth millions. These stories, each one is unique because it's one person's story. It's necessary for our kids, our grandkids, our great-grandkids to know what these people have done for our country. The project, I truly believe in. I have done over 400 of them. I have met the most wonderful people. I have heard the most amazing stories. And I really would love to be able to do that for the Rosies. So I called up the Library of Congress and I said, is there a Rosie collection? They said no. They said, there's Rosie's tapes here, DVDs here, there's material here, but there's not a Rosie collection here. So I'm trying to get a Rosie collection set up in the Library of Congress. Okay. And it takes a long time because the Library of Congress works mostly with volunteers and very little funding. But I think it's necessary. I think it's so necessary. If you go to the Library of Congress and you look up Rosies, they're scattered in all different collections. They're scattered in folklore. They're scattered in the Veterans History Project. It's all over. But I would like to see it all conglomerated in one spot. So that's what I'm working toward. In the meantime, there's another organization for Rosies, and it's called the American Rosie the Riveter Association. And this takes in stories from all the Rosies that are still able to give stories. And if there's a story that the family has of their Rosie, they can submit it to this organization too. It's a wonderful organization. It was founded in 1998 by a woman named Frances Carter. And she thinks that in World War II, the women that stepped up for World War II were amazing women, which I believe too. People that are qualified to be in this association are the original Rosies, the Rosies that are the collection Rosies, the volunteers that collect it. Then you can pay $10 for a whole lifetime membership. The people that, let me see, the female people that are direct descendants of Rosies can be a member. The husbands and the male sons of direct descendants of Rosies can be members. Any woman today that is working in what was traditionally a male job in 1943 can be a Rosie member. And if you want to just support them, you can be a member. The members, they get a certificate for membership, and they get a quarterly newsletter that has different stories about the Rosie the Riveters, about what they've done, and how they go about preserving their stories. The association has a lot of stories in it, and you can go and look online and find out these stories. I myself would love to find more Rosies other than just Mary, and really collect all their stories so that I can save them. If you know any, I would love you to let me know. In the meantime, I want to thank you, Mary, for your work, and I just think that you're amazing.
Thank you, Cindy. The work you do is so important. Sharing these stories, sharing these histories, we need to let that continue. At this point, I would invite veteran Jerry Butterbrodt up, because we've all been hearing about Mary's birthday, and we're going to be singing to Mary. So, Mary, would you like to sit there, or would you like to get up? Do you want to come up here? You'll sir.
We're all going to sing happy birthday for Mary. You can stand if you like. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mary. Happy birthday to you.
We are so pleased to see such a wonderful turnout today, not only in honor of our own Rosie, Mary Masciangelo. We're so fortunate to have our World War II veterans here. Our Korean War veterans here. And we have veterans of all wars up through the Iraq War, so thank you. And thank you for your support of our veterans and our homefront heroes. At this point, our program is concluding, but I invite you to have some cookies, because there are a lot of cookies out there. Amazing.